The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
After the Livecast podcast. There, that's all we do. Right there.
God, and I thought Todd was annoying and mono sound, but in the echo, like, multiplies it.
Todd in a
That was
vacuum?
funny.
Todd in a vacuum?
Todd in a vacuum. That's interesting.
It's fine. Like I said earlier during the actual livecast, I will lay in wait, and then when you least expect it, I will pounce.
You know that part?
You're out of breath going up the stairs. Don't say you're going to pounce on anything.
Such a jerk. My God.
Did you miss the comments earlier where, remember when you were saying, Todd, that you were going to like attack like somebody when you're dead, or what did you say?
Yeah, what
Jump
about
into them?
Yeah.
Jason was,
to them.
yeah, attached to them. Jason said that you were going to give him IBS. I think.
Listen, if you think about it, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen?
Oh my God.
That might be
IBS,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Having to shit in a cemetery.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Give them the Taco Bell shits at the most inappropriate time.
God. Oh.
And this is exactly what I wanted the after the live cast to be, just a lot of random nasty shit talk. Not so much, but
Yeah, you get to see Jared.
well, okay. Well, here's the thing. You read some cards for Jared, and I asked you, Erin, if you ever take that reading and go, I kind of wonder what this is all about. How did you feel about that reading, Jared?
I think it was spot on. I do try to not have Zeke read my cards.
Did you just see
You're
that?
not supposed to do that, but I do it anyway.
Did you just see that orb that flew past them?
Was there? No.
Yeah, there was an orb right that flew kind of above Erin right into Jared.
Oh God, I didn't even see that.
I
I
just
was
saw
looking
that.
at you.
I saw
Oh.
something
of
go
course
right
you
across
would
my
be.
field of vision, like,
I'm sorry, Jared. I don't mean to interrupt you. What? Now, you said it was spot on?
Yeah, it was spot on. I got some stuff going on. Getting through some big adulting things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try not to have Zeke read my cards really. But if somebody else in the chat hasn't been like, read my cards, I'm like, oh, I just want to get them started.
stimulate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I
let
was
me
gonna
ask you about
ask-
that. Do you ever worry about like that Erin can sense more about you than you want him to? Because, okay, I'm a very guarded person, right? I'm very guarded. I don't want anybody messing in my head. And there have been times even I have said, can I trust Erin to not like mess around in my thought process and stuff like that? Do you ever feel that way?
I guess I'm an Aries, so I'm loud and honest.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Can't do nothing quiet.
So you don't hide a lot? Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. He even makes coffee noisy.
Yeah, I just thought it's interesting because I don't know if I would, like you, Jared, I don't know if I would ask someone that I'm very close to read my cards that often. Just
I
because.
think Zeke has only read my cards on the podcast.
Mhm.
Only on the podcast.
I think that was only the second time.
That makes sense because I think I'm like with you on that. I don't think I would want somebody really close. I have no problem having somebody I don't know well do it for me.
Perfect stranger complex.
But yeah, kind of just because I feel like they're too close to me. You know, I feel like almost like it could be, what's the word I want? Sort of skewed because of the fact that that person is that close to me. I mean, I pull a card here and there for Todd, but that's a little bit different. It's one card and it's just kind of, and usually it goes along with the situation we're in, but I don't know. It's a good.
I think the whole thing with
good
Zeke
thought.
too, though, is like Zeke's always listening to like a spirit
Mhm.
kind of tell you what to say.
Because the deck of cards that I use, each deck of cards has sort of a spirit or an energy to it.
Mhm.
It's like dealing with a person, like a spirit or an energy attached to it. And
So
that's why sometimes if you see me shuffle, I'm like
yes, I
looking
was just going to
around.
say, were you
Yes.
talking to some? I saw you actually like having a conversation. I thought.
Yes.
I usually talk to the cards. I have this little pre-reading ritual that I do before I do readings at anywhere. I always cast a circle and do all kinds of things that I've been doing forever, ever since I started reading.
So interesting. What else was I going to ask you? I had another question. Oh, when you said that Sue, when you were about to read her card and you said she had a lot of energy around her, she does have a lot of energy around her. She has a lot of abilities and things like that. She's got very strong energy around her. So that
I can sense the potency of a person because whenever I start reading for somebody, it's like my energy attaches to there, and it's like we have like sort of a channel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so then like the things that are around her start talking to me, but it works even better if the person lets me in, because it's no fun when I have to extract it, and it's a little uncomfortable for the other person whenever I have to extract it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real bad manners to do that sort of thing.
How often have you had to do that? Like tonight when you read some cards, you don't have to say any names, but did you have to extract anything, or were they, because they came forward, were they open enough to allow you? Yeah,
because they came forward and talked to me. And one of the things that me and Jared were talking about, I think a while just this past Sunday, was card readers who put too much faith in the cards, because the cards are just a tool. You're not going to have faith in just the hammer to build the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have faith in the person who's using the abilities of the person using the hammer.
Right.
Because the cards are just a tool.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
How would somebody know that reading cards is for them?
Yeah.
Like, does something scream to them from a deck, or is it just an interest that you get involved with?
To me, it was just sort of an interest I got involved with, and I think it just sort of calls to us every time we pass the card case at your local metaphysical bookstore, or wherever they have tarot cards and paranormal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like tarot cards, I cannot read actual tarot cards to save my life. I read the Lenormand card or something that really struck a chord with me, and so it's kind of like finding the right size shoe. You just find the shoe that fits, and that's what you're going to use, in my opinion.
Jared, do you do anything like that? Do you read cards? Do you have crystals? Anything like that?
Something that's really funny. Before Zeke and I started dating, I also read Lenormand cards.
Oh.
I would only read like friends. I've never done it at an event or anything the way Zeke does.
Mm-hmm.
I was given a deck of tarot cards for my birthday from a friend, and they were hideous. Some kind of weird new age
CGI babies.
Computer graphics with babies and Pomeranians and airships and
Wow.
They call that steampunk.
children. It was disgusting. I hated this deck of cards. So got them from an irresponsible friend who, no form of receipt, which is okay. It's a gift, but no receipt. But I took the cards back to the store where she got them. And we were like, oh, they're hippies. They probably won't care about a receipt. They'll let me exchange it.
They're hippies.
Oh. And I knew they might not let me exchange it, and they wouldn't.
Oh.
And I was like, I knew that this very well could be the case. And I was like, but I want to leave these cards here. I was like, if I can't exchange them, like I still don't want to take them back home. I was like, if you want to use them as a display set.
Now you're giving a marketing
I was like, if you want to give them to somebody who will use them, like do that.
Called the Pomeranians and airships and babies.
But the employees were like, it's that bad, huh? And I was like, yes. And I'm showing them the cards. But one of the employees there, he was like, hey, if you come back tomorrow, I'll give you one of my deck of cards.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, so I came back the next day and he gave me the Bluebird Lenormand deck. But the art on the cards I could really connect with. And they're
More
just really
than
beautiful
Pomeranians?
cards.
More than Pomeranians and airships?
What was that?
More than Pomeranians and airships?
Correct.
Correct.
But I've always been interested in kind of occult-esque things.
Yep.
But I really don't think reading cards is for me.
Yeah.
I kind of like to say majors.
Yeah. Yeah, because we like to say we each have majors in occult stuff.
Yeah, so like Zeke's major is
Divination
and Lenormand cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that interests me, but it's not my major. Like my major is like sigils. Making sigils, kind of like affirmation or like manifestation magic.
Mm-hmm.
I have a method in the way I do a very beginner sigil, but it has a very almost like mathematic equation way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the opposite of cool divination hippie things.
hippie things.
I'm just trying to be funny. You know,
woo woo. It's the opposite of woo woo.
it
Woo-woo.
is. You know, it's just like I have this method for it. It's like almost scientific. It's
Mhm.
not scientific, but like there's an equation.
But it's like he calls it beginner and stuff like that, but it's very strong.
Mhm.
And the simpler like magic and stuff like that can be, in my opinion, is that it's the more potent it can be because it's more to the point.
I do
Yeah.
think the way I do it is like you really have to have your thought out. And I do have to ask for the right thing.
And it's about crystal clear intention too. Any good magical practice always starts with crystal clear intention before you get to the sigils and the wands and the ritual blades and cups. It all starts with communication with your spirits and crystal clear intention.
I do also have a crystal collection, more on the nerdy mineral side of crystals.
Sure.
Yep.
So whenever Zeke moved in, it was just like a merging of
Nerdiness.
crystal collections.
Did you
know?
guys make a detailed list so if there's ever a breakup, there's like a prenup on the crystals?
On the crystals.
I think that I know whose crystals are whose.
Me too.
And I think Zeke has a good idea, but not as good of an idea as I'd have. Because like I can show for Valentine's Day, at the time Zeke was a vegan.
Mhm.
And I saw this on Instagram. This was not an original Jared idea. But I got a box of chocolates, ate all the chocolates because Zeke can't have it. But in its place, I put different crystals in like
Sandy's face.
a cute little Valentine's Day heart box.
I love that.
Yeah, but like I know which ones were in that box. I'm not sure that you know which ones were in the box.
I don't remember because there was like 14 different kinds of crystals in that box.
That's awesome. I love that.
But I just have that recollection, I think. But
So let me-
you know, there could be some crystals that are like, this is mine. No, this is mine.
Well, we're probably never going to go through that because he is stuck with me until we're old people.
Aww.
But then we can leave after we're old.
Nope,
Then
after
we
we
can
die.
Well, you hear about seniors who have to get divorced because, they
What?
get more money if they get divorced, unfortunately, in society today. So, you stay together till you're old or you die, one or the other. I have a question for you guys. What is a scary place that you'd like to visit, but you haven't gone to yet?
I wanted to go to Bachelor's Grove because I read about Bachelor's Grove when I was in elementary school. And
Yep.
And it was something I would have liked to have seen, but after what you said today, it would be going in there with the utmost respect.
It was so weird because it wasn't at all what I expected it to be. Because you watch it on these shows like, scariest places in America and, haunted this and haunted that. And so you have this idea in your head, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to this haunted cemetery. And then if you're the least bit intuitive or sensitive, once you get there, it's like a totally different game. It's totally different. It's not what you expect it to be. You kind of go in with that, here we go. I'm going to go check it out. And you leave kind of feeling different. So
yeah, because like you said, you could feel like the sadness.
Oh yeah.
And what I would have done if I lived in that area, I would have left offerings for the spirits of place. I would have stuff that's disposable, like leaving the food and stuff like that, directly right there, on the ground, just to offer sort of a soothing or an appeasement to those spirits.
Yeah, I feel, and this may be the only time I've ever said this, and I may ever say it, but I feel like they're still like their souls are still there. When I go to a cemetery, I don't usually feel a lot of energy there. I think a lot of times they do move on. I'm always kind of suspect in, a lot of ghost stories and cemeteries, only because I don't feel that kind of energy. But this one, I feel like they're still there. I really do. And I think that a lot of the ghost stories, you've got the pure folklore and, scared teenagers and people looking for a thrill. But then I think you do have a lot of activity that goes on there. A lot. So it's legit because I think they're still there. Some of them at least are still there.
There are some spots, I believe, that where spirit, souls can get trapped. It's what I like to call soulbound. And they're just bound to that spot. And just the angst that they carried, or even the energy of that area, just naturally just sort of weighs down the soul, and it can't leave.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to people have to go in there and do rituals and stuff like that and blessings to sort of give them that extra boost. You know what I mean? Just sort of give them that extra push so they can move on to the afterlife.
Well, that's why I think Todd was right, that if there were people who would go there to sort of do a memorial type of service or something that would give them maybe, I don't know, some hope, bring them out of the sadness. That place is just desecrated. And to know that there were grave tamperings and, bodies and coffins being done. That's just
disgusting.
It is horrible. Absolutely horrible. And that's not even talking about the pond. God only knows what's in that pond. So I don't know.
Bodies in there.
Yeah, there could be.
Erin,
So
when you're talking about rituals, I want to just back up a little bit. How important are the pieces of the ritual? You talked about simple rituals and stuff like that, starting off simply.
Mm-hmm.
Is all the other stuff really, really all that important as long as your intentions are good? And as long as you have that clear thought process as to what you're trying to accomplish?
Crystal clear intention is always important whenever you're doing magic or ritual, but using a particular kind of herb just sort of adds an extra energy to the intention. It boosts it up, if you will. Kind of like I said about those spirits, or even a particular wand can even boost that energy too. And it's they act like magnifiers and accentuators.
But
I think those items
can you determine
help
which
clear your intention?
Yes.
Can
They
you
sort of help
determine what
direct it.
herbs you want to use in that situation? So for instance, let's say I'm very drawn to rosemary as an herb, or I'm very drawn to lavender or something like that. They're very special to me. Does it have to be something else because a book says that? Or can I choose the stuff that seems to resonate with me best?
If anything, I feel like books are more or less kind of like guideposts, but you got to find things that, to me, in my opinion, you got to find things that sort of syncretize with it. Like if I were doing the graveyard ritual, I would find some yew wood or even some myrrh, which are things that are associated with death in the grave. Right. But like rosemary, what you were talking about, rosemary is great for soothing emotions, and so is lavender. Lavender is also wonderful for soothing emotions as well, and it's also wonderful for healing. So it's all about finding what syncretizes with it, almost kind of like a doctrine of signatures, if you will.
Really cool.
I have a lot of houseplants, and I have these Hoyas that will bloom. And those Hoya blooms, after they die and fall off, I like to collect them and dry them. And like, to me personally, like certain blooms can be significant and stand for things that I want to manifest in a spell. Mm-hmm. So I think like rosemary, like if you really did have a connection to rosemary, like I do think you could kind of use the things you think would work.
Yeah, because it's kind of like but classically you could, it's kind of like a doctrine of signatures. What do you associate that with? And like usually yew wood, for example, yew trees are usually traditionally found in graveyards. That's right. Where they grow. Or even like myrrh is sort of a classical funerary incense. And it's something about, or even like you said, rosemary. But it also kind of comes down to being able to associate it with your intention. Like whenever you smell rosemary, what do you associate it with? Whenever you smell lavender, what do you associate that with? That's also very, very powerful magic as well, is associations.
I have this attraction when it comes to plants about the history of them as well. So for instance, when I talk about rosemary, I've got a rosemary plant that I've had 3 years, and I keep bringing it in every winter, trying to keep it alive so I can plant it again the next year. This year it went crazy, and I actually had to trim it way back just to get it back in the house. But I think about like my mother, when she passed away, the first thing I did was go to her garden and get some of the plants that were important to her and put them in my yard so that I could, in a way, continue her life on. And those plants then become part of what I am manifesting, and I am thinking about things. Those are the things that I use in kind of my, my meditation and my, I don't want to call them rituals, because I certainly am not to that point yet. But when I do manifesting, those are things that I use, whether it's in my mind or I actually have it with me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We all do rituals every day. Like rituals are even sort of like around us all the time. Like even something as trivial as throwing salt over your left shoulder. That's very much a folkloric ritual. Or black-eyed eating. Where I'm from, you eat black-eyed peas at the beginning of the new year to bring luck. Those are rituals. We all do rituals every day.
I had thought of something the other day that was like a super normal Christian thing. And I was like, that's witchy as hell. I can't remember what it was, though. I'm going to think about it.
I was like, that whole conversation.
I thought of this thing, but I don't know what it was.
We were all into it. We're like, what is it? And you're like, I can't remember.
And
I recall fades.
And the suspense goes,
Turd City. We're not going to keep you guys much longer, but I do want to ask you, we're coming up, while we're recording this, we're coming up kind of on the holiday season. And, my thought process is it's celebrated as a Christian holiday for some people. Other religions celebrate this time of year as well. What, for the holiday season, in the way you celebrate, what are you looking forward to in the next couple of weeks and months?
I am looking forward to Yule, which is synonymous with Christmas. And that's the time you would make a Yule log. Yeah, that's where they get it from. And you would decorate it with like berries and just make it real fancy. And then on Yule, you would burn it to celebrate the first light, the light returning to the earth. When the days start getting longer, and there's a whole folklore and story tied up to why the days get shorter. It's because the Holly King killed the Oak King, and it's a whole soap opera that I could definitely talk to you guys about.
Maybe we'll have you come on and talk about some different traditions that we're not so used to. Let's do that
before holiday. Get him booked, would you please?
All right, yeah. We'll figure out a night when you can do it.
Yeah, and I'll be free after 6 p.m. from now on.
Awesome.
Free.
Yeah, we'll have you come on because it's interesting. I think that a lot of people don't know the stories behind, or they don't even know the different traditions other than their own. So I think that would be really
We
cool.
can talk about the pagan origin of Christmas trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it would be really
looking
cool.
forward to is the Christmas tree.
Are you? See, I'm looking forward to all of my outdoor Christmas decorations.
My Christmas tree is ocean themed.
And it's got muscular male mermaids.
Of course it does.
I do
Of course
have an
it does.
octopus that I put on top of the tree.
You too. Oh my God. You too.
Celebrating Octomus with my Christmas puss. My purple octopus on top of the Christmas tree.
As director of the Mind Garden Media, Erin, you've got to have him on your podcast. At least just like a moment with Jared. Have you guys talk about stupid stuff, and you can talk about octopuses on the top of a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge. It'll be huge.
It'll be huge. It'll be huge. I can see it now.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to edit that one.
Life with Erin and Jared.
I think something that Erin wants to do is have me be the devil's advocate.
He's going to be the skeptic that's going to come on the witching hour.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. I think it would be great. I think it would be very cool. It adds a different approach to everything, a different perspective. So I think that's pretty cool.
I can have a very obvious spiritual, supernatural thing happen to me.
I know.
That's totally unexplainable. And I'll be like, no, I could explain this.
And then he's like, wait, I can't explain it.
It's like, it's not possible, Jared.
But you know what, though? That's the beauty of it, though. I mean, Todd and I are the same way. We want to debunk everything that happens, whether it's to us or to someone we know, before we say, oh, yeah, it's probably this. We want to make sure everything is healthy.
That's a sign of authenticity. Right. Is the person, I'm not scared of skeptics because I'm comfortable with the extent of my abilities.
Right.
And I'm even skeptical of myself. I've turned like a side eye up many a magical person's posts. If you tell me you rose someone from the dead, I'm going to look at you and like,
but where?
I want video.
Yep.
Come on, this is the time of Facebook. You should have put that on Facebook Live. I want to see.
Well, that's what Dave says. Dave says, well, in this day and age of all of these cameras, then shoot amazing video and nobody gets a good clear Sasquatch picture yet. No video of Sasquatch yet. So everybody's got a camera.
Sasquatch right there in that box.
Thank you. I was just going to say something really nice, too. I was going to say,
I found him.
Your video is a little clunky right now, so you guys are like doing this all the time. But I'm sitting here looking at you guys going, have you seen one bad picture frame of the two of them? They constantly look like they're
so odd. I know.
They're like doing the model thing. Like every 2 seconds they're,
Do you know what my comment was going to be? That they could be on like one of those like A&E TV shows,
sure.
Like the real life thing, because they'd be perfect.
The Crazy Witches or something like that.
Yeah, I know, right?
It would be great.
Life with these two.
Fluorescent floozies.
That's us.
I was totally going to give them a compliment, and then I'm Sasquatch up here. All right, guys, we're not going to take any more of your time.
All right, guys.
So thanks for being on after the live cast with us. And thanks again, seriously, for being on the podcast tonight. And get him on your podcast, Erin. He's going to make you a star.
I believe it.
I knew it. See ya.
Bye,
Sandy. Keep wearing that sweet black and white poncho.
Thank you.
I bet she's going to burn that. You're going to burn that now, aren't you?
It's not even a poncho. It's a tank top. It's a tank top with a scarfy thing over it.
It's a poncho. That's funny.
Oh, my God. That was hilarious. I was dying.